Adapt to change. In whatever you're doing, keep yourself open to change. You must change with the times and move with the times. Move forward, not back, because everything is evolving. In around about 1975, Xerox Corporation was the first company in California, they were based in California, to invent a graphic user interface, a GUI. And they had no use for it. They didn't put any store with a GUI, and they kept it. It was, I think, in 1979 that Steve Jobs visited the Xerox factory with his engineers, and they showed them the graphic user interface. And Steve Jobs immediately realized that this is what he needed to have. And he spoke to his engineers and said, please go back and start developing a GUI, a graphic user interface. The engineers told him, we can't, because we put all our money into developing a new product. And if we spend money to develop a GUI, which is going to be very cost intensive, we'll be finished. So Steve Jobs said, if you do not build a graphic user interface, we will be finished. So you must go and develop a GUI. They went back and they put a lot of money and came up with a GUI. And in 1984, they they introduced the Macintosh computer to the world. And what did that have? That had a mouse. What is a mouse? A mouse is a GUI, graphic user interface. The mouse revolutionized the computing industry. It inverted it on its head in one stroke. Steve Jobs had arrived. He used what the Xerox was unable to see. Motorola failed, Nokia failed because they were not willing to change with the times. They didn't want to go into the smartphone business. And look what happened to them. They almost shut shop. Samsung, who was a zero and a nobody, is now the number one. Same thing with clocks. The clock makers were not able to adapt. And Samsung is the biggest phone maker. They're the biggest clock maker in the world. Kodak, in the mid 80s, came up with a digital camera. Can you believe it? Kodak was the first company to make a digital camera. And what did they do? They kept it under wraps because they didn't want the world to know that there was something called a digital camera. Because Kodak, Eastman Kodak, was the leader in cameras and photographic equipment. You needed to buy a reel, you needed to buy a camera, you needed to process it. So there's a complete industry behind it. They knew that if they released the digital camera, it would kill that industry, it would kill Eastman Kodak. Or so they thought. So they kept it under wraps. 10 years later, it was companies like Sony and Nokia, not Nokia, uh, Nikon, who came up with these cameras, and they killed Eastman Kodak. They killed it. Kodak has disappeared. It's history. So you must move with the times. And even if it means putting it out to open source, do that. If you think that the company is going to borrow your formula and make it, no, because you will be improving it almost on a daily basis. So you will still be miles ahead of them. I mean, this is what Elon Musk has done on his electric vehicles. He's made it open source. Totally. It's very, very difficult to retool a factory. It's very, very expensive. So it'll take you 10 years to retool a factory. By that time, the other manufacturer who's left made it open source has gone miles ahead. So you must be very open to change, adapt to change, and that is what is going to make you successful. That is what's going to make the difference in your products. Go for it.